All right, Sean.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. I'll call to order the meeting for the Smith Falls Police Service Board for Thursday, July 27th. And of course, it's great to be back in person. Probably first time in about 3 years, I think, since we have met in person. And Jen, your first in-person meeting, and I think for Chris Babcock might be his first as well. So it's great to be here. Want to welcome Graham White, our ministry advisor. Great to see you here today. And want to say thank you and farewell to Chris Babcock. Chris has been here with the police service as a provincial appointee for the last 2 years, and today will be his last meeting. Chris, do you want to take a moment to anything you want to share or mention?
I don't know if you can hear.
Chris, can you hear us?
I can barely. I just turned the volume on really loud.
Okay. Anything you want to say, Chris? Is this being your last meeting?
Well, it was nice getting to know a lot of you that I didn't know before this. It was definitely interesting, and I'll miss being here.
Well, I appreciate your commitment to our police service and our community. Just a couple of comments. We know it's been a busy summer with a lot of community events, including Rib Fest and Canada Day, and pretty much every weekend there is something happening. And the presence of our police service is always welcome and always appreciated. And I think it's a great opportunity to interact with the community. So always great to see our police officers out in the community when we're having these events. I guess I just want to welcome back Tom. Where's Tom? Way at the back. Tom might have thought that he wasn't going to attend any more meetings, but today's a special day for Tom, as well as Sergeant Brent Pallett. Chief, you have I'll come back to that in a minute with the amendments to the agenda. So we'll open with a land acknowledgement. On July 27, 2023, we acknowledge that the sacred land which Smith Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We're also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. I'll ask for any amendments to the agenda. Chief?
Yes, I do have some additions to the agenda. If we can add 9C will be the Ontario Major Case Management inspection update. Okay. Under new business, and as well under new business 9D will be our Minister Advisor Graham White that will provide some updates from the ministry and respond to any questions. And then finally 9E under new business will be an announcement that I will make at that time.
Okay. So noted. Thank you. Ask for approval of the agenda. Moved by Rob, second by Jen. All in favor? Thank you. That's carried. Chief, you have a couple of things to look after today.
I do. I have a couple of presentations to make. The first one is to Sergeant Brent Pallett. We were fortunate to have Brent come to us from the Toronto Police Service a number of years ago, and he's accumulated over now. This is sort of back a little bit. We were late in getting this from the ministry, but to be able to provide him with his 20-year exemplary service medal from the Solicitor General of Canada. So it is a nice honor to be acknowledged for those 20 years of service, and certainly more years to come for Brent, and he's been an excellent addition to our staff here when he came from Toronto, and he certainly contributed a lot here. And I know he's heading off to Winnipeg as well for the World Police Fire Games as well, and he's been a part of that for a number of years representing our service. So I'm very pleased, and Brent has his wife Tanya and his two daughters here as well. So I'm very pleased to call him up to present to him his 20-year exemplary service medal. from the Solicitor General. Thank you. Thanks very much. Oh.
Thank you, guys.
Oh.
Thank you very much.
Good job. Always nice to acknowledge those dedicated years of service and contribution to the community. Likewise, Tom Blanchard spent a number of years since when he came to us from the military, and spent a lot of years partially as my partner, but and spent a lot of years contributing and being a part of our community. So he retired back a few months ago, and probably thought he wasn't going to have to put a suit jacket on for a while, but we got him dressed up, brought him back out. In addition to retiring, Tom spent 25 years of policing with us here in Smith Falls, in addition to his military career as well. And so, as the board knows, we acknowledge our officers with 25 years of police service with a special Smith Falls Police ring that's made. And so I'm very pleased to bring Tom back to honor him with that 25-year ring. And at the same time, we also have his retirement ID card, so it's official, and he can't go around and say that he's still a police officer. He is retired, and I'm sure he's quite happy with it. He's been doing lots. We still see him around the community, and he is with his wife Cindy, who's keeping him very busy around home and around her office. So it's been good. So he's been enjoying his retirement, and I'm certainly happy and pleased to call him up to receive his ring and his retirement card. Official, you're retired. I do the what? I do.
Thank you.
And those are the two presentations. I think will be just any declarations of interest, and then we'll be moving into camera.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all for coming for the presentations, and wish you all a good day.
On behalf of the board, Sergeant Pellet, thank you for seeing the light and coming to Smith Falls and enjoying small town policing. We appreciate your service, and of course, Staff Sergeant Blanchard, thank you for your, I guess, commitment not just to our community but to our country with the military service. And we know you're already deep into a wonderful retirement.
Excellent. And I know Sergeant Pellet worked nights last night, so, but everyone, people are welcome to stay. But people aren't welcome to stay. But I know he
as well.
Time to get to bed.
Congratulations.
Okay, ask for declaration of any interest. Any member of the board? Seeing none, I need a motion to move in camera. Moved by, Rob, second by Jen, all in favor. Okay. So rather than being here, we'll move into the in-camera room behind us.
Correct. Just sent Sean
Oh, sorry.
a message, just to make sure. We're back.
Okay. Thank you. We were in camera to discuss items pertaining to intimate financial or personal matters or other matters may be disclosed of such a nature having regard to the circumstances that the desirability of avoiding their disclosure in the interest of any person affected when the public interest outweighs the desirability of adhering to the principle that proceedings be open to the public in accordance with section 35(4)(b) of the Police Services Act. While we were in the in-camera room, we also added another in-camera item, item 5D, which was a ministry update. Moving on, correspondence. We have Inspector of Policing, upcoming policy inspection correspondence. Chief, you want to speak to that? I guess we'll speak to that under new business, right?
Correct, yes, under 9A.
Okay. As for approval of the minutes of our June 29th meeting, moved by Jen, second by Rob, all in favor. That's carried. Thank you. Business arising from the previous meeting, Chief, 2023 budget update.
So for a 23 budget update so far, and the board received, and I know it's an Excel document, and it's I'm working with the town finance to produce a little bit of a better document similar to what we used to receive as a budget monitor. This one it's really sort of the raw data that comes out of our assist program that then sort of gets dumped into an Excel document. So it is difficult to read. So just as a highlight, I am pleased to say the budget is tracking where I think we should be halfway through the year. There are a couple of small items, and there's a couple of lines dealing with our salaries and our other payroll that I'm looking at with the town finance, because there's a bit of a discrepancy there as to where that should be, but not that we're in any difficulty, just that I need some clarification on some of those lines. Otherwise, operationally, certainly capital-wise, we're fine, and we're on budget. Operationally, we in this document, and because it includes some of the variances even from our grants and whatnot. So we have, for instance, our NG 911 grant is a large envelope of money that shows as a variance. So it makes it look like we have a big surplus in our budget currently, and that's not the case, because any of those grants are already basically funding that's all spoken for, that will come down to a net zero. So it sort of throws that, in this document, it throws that variance out and makes it look like we have more money than we do. So we are working on cleaning that up and providing the board with a better document. Our town finance has been sort of working with trying to get a new system in place. So I am working with them. We've been working together on grants and making sure that those grant envelopes meet proper financial needs as far as how they're managed in our budget. So that's coming together. But otherwise, operationally, overtime, equipment, part-time wages, all of those areas, I'm satisfied with where we are at with the budget right now, and I have apologize that this document isn't easy to read, and so I if there are any questions, I'll certainly try to answer them, but if not, we'll work towards a better document in the near future. But safe to say that I do use the assist program on a regular basis and go through a lot of our more serious lines, or the lines that I really try to keep on top of to make sure that we're tracking well, and we are. So I'm pleased to provide that information to the board at this time.
Thank you. Any questions? No. Moving on, NG 911 update, Chief.
So the NG 911 update, as the board is aware, we're entering into an agreement with the Owen Sound Police Service to host our NG 911 system. They will host it obviously from Owen Sound. They've been in the business of dispatching and call taking for a long time. That to say, they're just going to host our NG 911, where the calls will be routed through Owen Sound and come to our dispatch. And but there's a lot of infrastructure involved in receiving those calls, in the future with regards to text 911 and video 911 that's going to be coming as well. So it's a system that's been imposed on us. Fortunately, the provincial government has provided a very comfortable spending envelope with our grant in this first cycle to the amount of $560,000. And then there's going to be applications for funding for NG91 over this coming year, 23-24, as well as 24-25, and the service will certainly be taking advantage of those funding opportunities to enhance our NG911 capabilities and make sure that we're on board when we go live, which would probably be in early 2024. So with that grant, it has the grant funding has covered the entire agreement that we have with Owen Sound for when we go live for a 5-year period. It has covered infrastructure and IT requirements that we require here on site, as well as through Owen Sound. It provides us some IT support as well, some dedicated IT support that we require here on site as well, and as well as our project management as well, to make sure that we're moving in the right direction and we're ready to go live when that comes. So that's all I have at this point in time. There will be the next round, which should be coming out very shortly. I know I've spoken to our ministry advisor as well, and there has been some emails from the ministry with regards to the next round of funding. So we will be applying for that, and I'm happy to say that I think our NG911 is where we need it to be. And we will be prepared to go live and making sure that we're able to take all the different formats of emergency calls from our citizens.
Thank you. Questions? No, thanks for that update. Moving into new business. Inspector of Policing audit update. So if the board recalls back, and I'm going back pre-COVID, the ministry, and it was our ministry, the Solgen, that used to do planned audits on policies and procedures of police services, and they used to take a cycle, and they would select 2 or 3 different policies and procedures, and they'd go around the province, do that, and carry out that inspection, making sure that police services met adequacy and effectiveness in those areas of policing. Turning the clocks beyond COVID, now we have, and it's through the Inspectorate of Policing, which is a branch of the Solgen's office, and independent body that is, and that they're going to be resuming starting probably early 2024 is when it's actually, they're starting the paperwork now, and the requests for paperwork. They've selected 4 areas that they're going to be, over the next couple of years, that they're going to be doing inspections in. One is public order units, also the Chief's Police Annual Report to the board, and then there's also with regards to complaints investigations, and then a follow-up to the major case management, which is another item on that we've just completed that portion, and we'll be getting a report on that. But the public order is going to be the first of those sections that are going to be looked at, and obviously our public order unit is in an agreement with the Ontario Provincial Police at this time. So that's how our public order is. So it's all really paper-based, and through policy and procedure is how that's done. So we'll work with the Inspectorate of Policing and provide them the documentation that they need to review, and they'll do. They may not, in this case, the information that I got yesterday from a meeting I was on, that for services such as ours,
ours that doesn't have a public order unit on site, it'll be more of a paper-based inspection, and they'll review things and provide a report to myself and to the board. So that'll be coming, but that's where what the Inspector of Policing is doing over the next couple of years.
Thank you. You got any questions? Moving forward, board position vacancy.
So that was, and just I put that on because obviously our member Chris Babcock, you mentioned it in our chair's remarks that position is going to be vacant as of August the 12th. And so certainly there's processes through the ministry and through the ministry websites as far as making application for individuals that are interested in being a part of our police service board and contributing to the community through the police service board. So we'll maybe look to get those links, and we can put those links out, and so that people have an opportunity for that.
Perfect. Thank you. And item C, the Ontario Major Case Management Inspection Update, please.
So that was, the deputy and the staff sergeant had a meeting with the ministry, and that was a follow-up from our previously, I think the last of our inspections was dealing with major case management. Obviously the province, there's a model, if you will, the major case management model, which is how police services have to deal with major crimes and how they're investigated and the resources that are needed and the criteria and that sort of the threshold that has to be followed in serious investigations. And we've been a part. There's a major case management tool. It's called Power Case that we have to input data, and it goes through a provincial system for major case management. So it was a review to make sure that we were doing everything that we had said we were doing in the report from a few years ago, and how we were progressing with that. And I am happy to say, no different than a number of services, there are some areas that we can improve on a little bit with some of our data inputting, but we are working with that. And but all in all, the ministry was satisfied with what we're doing under the Ontario Major Case Management Model and the use of our Power Case, the provincial Power Case system. And so that's it for that, and there should be some written correspondence that'll come out of that.
Okay, so let's move it.
It should be, yes. I do expect to receive a report on that.
Questions or comments? Nope, we're moving along well. Ministry update. Graham, do you mind, because there's no mic over where you are, if you can come to the podium, please?
Sorry. We'll try not to mess up your papers, Chief.
That's all right. Great. Well, thanks very much to the board for the invitation. The ministry advisors have for a long period of time had a wonderful relationship with the board here in Smiths Falls, and we're always happy to come and deliver an update on behalf of the ministry and the Inspectorate of Policing, where the police services advisors now live. Just with respect to the board vacancy, before we get started, I thought I would mention for members of the public who are either watching virtually or who will watch this meeting later, the process to apply to a provincial vacancy is through the Public Appointments Secretariat, which can be found online. The application process is a profile-based application process, meaning that applicants don't apply to a specific vacancy. What you do is you can log on to the PAS website, create a profile, and with your information and your address, basically the system will qualify you for a vacancy in this area. You can also choose the board or any other board or agency that you'd like to be considered for in your profile. So happy to answer questions about that. If a potential applicant wanted to ask me questions or ask the ministry questions about how to apply, always happy to help the board with those processes. And as always, a healthy applicant pool is a good thing for everybody. So that's the Provincial Appointments Secretariat, can be found online. With respect to a few issues or a few matters for the board's consideration, the Community Safety and Policing Act is coming. We're hearing that the first part of 2024, late 2023, the CSPA will be in force. As folks know, the CSPA received royal assent in 2019, and the ministry's been working diligently on regulations, supporting material, and a number of aspects related to bringing that in force. As part of that, we've been consulting with our police, community, justice, municipal, and First Nations partners to bring that into force and to build regulations and supports for that purpose. The ministry is working to complete all of the regulatory and other activities before the CSPA comes into force. I'll talk a little bit about some of the regulations in sort of a different section of my update, but they are interesting pieces of work, and some of them are very consequential to the board and service. So I'd encourage you folks to view those regulations as they're posted on the regulatory website, and if possible, provide feedback to the ministry about the regulations, in hopes of collaborating on what they look like when the act is brought into force. The ministry will continue to engage stakeholders and partners on the development of these regulations and on matters related to the CSPA, as folks may have seen. I know the OAPSB and the OICP is still engaged in a number of conversations about the CSPA. So all to say to the board and service to stay engaged in that work, and thank you very much for the feedback to date. As the chief alluded to, the ministry, and actually, sorry, it's historically the ministry, but currently the Inspectorate of Policing is engaged in some inspections. The chief did a great job telling the board a little bit about what the Inspectorate of Policing may be looking for with respect to public order units. One of the things that we're doing in anticipation of these inspections is virtual pre-briefs. So the board will have access to a virtual session to ask questions and to learn about what it is that the Inspectorate of Policing is looking for and what we will be doing. I encourage the board and all board members to attend those virtual pre-briefs. We were really happy to see the chief at the virtual pre-brief yesterday with respect to public order units and engaging in some great conversation around what that looks like. Your contact for the current inspection, the public order unit inspection, is Hank Zaire. The board is likely to have received a correspondence from Mr. Zaire with respect to the inspection. I'm happy to answer questions about the inspection, but Hank is a wonderful contact for that purpose. So if the board or the service has questions about expectations or process, or what have you, Hank's a wonderful contact for that purpose. With respect to grants, I know municipalities, boards, services are always interested in grants. I just wanted to give the folks heads up, or give you folks heads up that the proceeds of crime grant, which is a 3-year term, is due on August 28th. That grant is $100,000 per year, but up to $200,000 per year if a proposal is submitted with another board or service. So, is a sizable grant of money, and if the chief looks busy in the next period of time, it's because he is likely working on that grant, hopefully with the support of the board. So, the due date for that grant is August 28th. We recently had a bail compliance and warrant apprehension grant as well, which was up to $400,000 per fiscal year. That was due on July 13th, and of course, I'm hoping that you folks see these grant opportunities come through our regular communications from the ministry, the all chiefs memos. If you're not seeing those for any period of time, please let me know, because they're key communications between the ministry and boards on that front. Those are the only two grants I wanted to draw your attention to, but of course, as more opportunities become available, I'm usually in contact with the chief and do my best to make sure the board knows where those opportunities are for grant funding. I'd mentioned regulations earlier as well. I know unless you're sort of a policing nerd like I am, maybe not, this isn't something you're going to bed reading, but there's a lot of really rich reading in what has been posted already. So the ministry has developed and published regulations to be brought into being under the Community Safety and Policing Act in the areas of conflicts of interest, vehicle pursuits, disclosure of personal information, special constable uniforms, matters respecting the appointment and function of special constables, et cetera, for the purpose of bringing the CSPA into being. Probably one of the key regulations under the CSPA is the adequacy and effectiveness regulation, which tells boards and services, or sets a minimum standard for boards and services for performance and service provision. There are some aspects of the adequacy and effectiveness regulation that have changed and are consequential to boards and to services. That regulation is posted on the Ontario Regulatory Registry right now, and boards and services, actually all stakeholders, can provide feedback on that regulation, and others as they're posted. So I have made a habit of keeping the chief in the loop with what's posted and when, but would encourage the board to to continue providing feedback about those regulations as they are posted. Certainly the association that the board is a part of, the Ontario Association of the Ontario Association of Police Services Boards, is engaged in this work as well. So whether you channel your feedback through them or directly, all stakeholders are welcome to comment on the regulations as they are posted on the Ontario Regulatory Registry. The last piece for today, aside from any questions, of course, is the boring piece that I always offer before I leave with it, and that's board process. So obviously, we're going from an environment under the Police Services Act to an environment under the Community Safety and Policing Act. I think arguably the standards for board governance and certainly the standards for policing, we see them as an improvement under the Community Safety and Policing Act. We see them as something good. But that means that there will be an impact on boards, whether that be funding for boards themselves or funding for services. Certainly, what we've seen here in Smiths Falls, and I can speak for some of my peer advisors as well, with respect to minutes and public notice and agendas and those pieces. This board's always done very, very well. But what we're seeing in the future is a reality where now we're turning our minds to things like board performance and individual board member performance. And those type of things are more relevant than ever. Under the Community Safety and Policing Act, the Inspectorate of Policing can do investigations of boards and board members that have to do with board member misconduct and some cases related to board member performance. So, what I would encourage the board to do is certainly to stay plugged in with the OAPSB and some of the transitional supports that they plan to provide as we get into the CSP environment. The Ministry and Inspectorate of Policing will continue to do the same, but certainly the conversations that you're having locally about good governance, board member performance, and your path forward, I think they're more relevant than ever. So, in some cases, kind of a benign suggestion, in other cases, or in other realities, I think it's what I'm seeing is boards, thinking to the future more than they ever have, and I think that's a great thing. And certainly, I know I've mentioned the OAPSB a number of times. I know that this board is a member of the OAPSB, but certainly the Canadian Association of Police Governance, CAPG, another great resource for the board as well. And the board can look forward to the sort of the overall mandate in the CSPA changing in 2024, so that there or thereabout. So, the change is reasonably imminent with respect to these new expectations. My role doesn't change in terms of supporting and providing information to the board, but the inspectorate also has the power of investigation and audit and inspection, whether that be a systemic issue or a misconduct issue. So certainly that's a big change. And then finally, with respect to the IOP's mandate, all of our work in the CSPA environment is going to be public facing, right? So whether that's an inspection report, an investigation report, or something else, one of the things that we built into the process is maximum transparency to the public. So that'll be a change as well from what we've done in the past. So that's my update for this morning, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Well, thank you for the very comprehensive update. Any questions or comments? You got it all covered.
Votes are easy. Thank you very
It
much.
looks like a lot of changes coming, like a lot of positives. So I think we'll need to prepare for that and respond accordingly. Thank you. Okay, last piece of new business before we move into the manager's report. Chief.
Yes, as it was part of our in-camera discussion coming out of camera, my announcement. So I will try and do this as well as I can. My letter to the board, it's with great honor that I have served this board and community of Smith Falls for the past 36 years. So very proud of the police service we have and the dedicated, professional, compassionate members that serve to keep us safe. In 1987, as a young patrol officer stepping out onto Beckwith Street for the first time, I never dreamed that I'd be in a position to lead and mentor such a fine organization. I'm so very thankful for all of the opportunities that came with the hard work and dedication. I thank all of the people and the senior officers before me that influenced me to become the leader that I am today. Leadership comes much easier when you have great support from officers, civilians, and very supportive police board as well as our council. I thank you for your commitment to the public safety of our community. Nevertheless, the time has come to pass the torch on and let others that have worked so very hard and committed themselves to serving this great community. Trust in them as you've trusted in me. I'll be moving into the next chapter of my life at the conclusion of my term here, December 31st. I'll be continuing with my passion of mentoring other police officers on an international level abroad, as well as to spend more time with my family and friends, enjoying many of my interests. I could not have reached this level without the unwavering support of my wife, my two daughters, my family, and close friends. It's time to repay them the sacrifices that they've made. I wish this board and our service all the best in success and safety, and I'll always be a part of this great family. And I thank you very much to this board. That's the official side, and again, thank you very much. It has been a great career, and some great people that I've had the opportunity to work with, and I'm always a phone call away for any advice or opinions. So, but thank you very much again.
Well, thank you, Chief, and obviously very, very bittersweet, because as much as we hate to see you moving on, we know after 36 years of commitment to our community, and I can't imagine all those years of shift and weekends and nights and that time away from your family, and of course nothing happens without the support of that family, and we know that you're going to have a wonderful retirement and the opportunity to do the things you want to do and still contribute to the community and the broader global community with your work through the UN. But it's going to be difficult to see you go. The world has changed so much. Our community has changed so much in 36 years. It's hard to think back to 1987 when the police service operated out of here, of course. Technology was nowhere near what it is today, and how you've helped shepherd our community through a lot of challenging times. You've kept us all safe, and we owe you a debt of gratitude that we should, I guess, bear for the balance of our lifetimes for the commitment you've made to our community, keeping us all safe. So thank you so much for all you've done. I know you're not gone today. You'll be with us for the next several months, but we also appreciate giving us the heads up now, so we have the opportunity to prepare for the next step. And it's open up to other board members who want to add anything further.
I think you said it.
Okay,
Very
well,
Sean. Yeah.
well, thanks, Chief. You got through that maybe better than I expected. Anyway, wonderful. We know that retirement brings some new opportunities, some new things, and we're really excited for you at the same time as we are regretful to see you leaving.
Well, thank you, and it is. I do feel that they. I mean, the time is right, and we do have a great organization, and we do have great people that I think can take the lead from here on. And I know, like I said, it's everybody has their time, and the organization has moved on over the years from past chiefs and past officers that have come and gone, and the organization has stayed strong. So I have a lot of faith that our small community and our small police service will stay strong together. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. So moving forward with our agenda, our manager's report.
Thanks for doing that.
Now the chief can relax, and the deputy chief can take over here.
Good morning. So June was a busy month for our service. During the month of June, we responded to 772 calls for service. Traffic enforcement complaints calls step target. We had 23 reported collisions, 31 complaints, 72 vehicles stopped, 25 charges related to those stops, and total of 32 charges altogether under the Highway Traffic Act, with 3 charges laid under the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act. Our alcohol, drug, criminal, traffic related offenses was 1 impaired, 1 exceed 80 milligrams of alcohol, 1 cannabis readily available in a motor vehicle. The step target for June related to vehicles and equipment safety. As a result, there were 5 charges relating to that vehicle equipment safety, including there was 2 license plate offenses, improper number plate light, no helmet, and the tint on a vehicle too dark to see inside. Step target for July is impaired driving, alcohol, and drug-related offenses. So our proactive patrols in the parks, area businesses, and properties, 16 hours of foot patrol, 5 hours of bike. We're lower on those 2 due to higher call volume for service, and we had some staffing availability issues with the bike. So our hours have increased in July so far. Our community service hours, we did 12 hours in the school and 13 hours out in the community. For example, we were seen at the powwow. I think Constable LeMay was dancing at one point. We did a walk an Indigenous Day on our lunch break with Child and Family Services worker. We were participating in the Pride Day parade and of course the ceremony here at Town Hall. And then Reb Fest was a successful event in June. And of course, we can't forget about the torch run that we do, and that's going to be mentioned in our community service, our torch run tools that we do, and the run that we volunteer for as well. We had 5 assaults, 2 arsons, which were significant enough investigations on their own, 1 break and enter, 9 bail violations, 14 intimate partner violence calls, 22 motor vehicle collisions, 1 with serious injuries. I'm happy to say that the female involved is out of the hospital and doing much better. 22 theft-related calls. You've probably seen through public and social media that we had an increase in vehicles, theft from vehicles. 40 mental health-related calls with a 10% apprehension rate and a 54 average time wait at the hospital, which is better for us. Our criminal investigative branch, we continue to be dedicated to the Bertram missing person file with OPP. It is ongoing. We have 3 arson investigations ongoing, and there's been extensive investigations put in on all 3. We assisted on executing a controlled drug and substance act search warrant on Russell Street with the OPP CSCU team, resulting in arrests relating to drug trafficking of cocaine, methamphetamine, and prescription drugs. We also assisted with executing a search warrant with OPP Guns and Gangs Unit on Pearl Street. No guns were found, but a taser, ammunition, and other devices were located. Charges and arrests were made on that. And as you've seen through social media as well as press release, we do have some closure in the Ramage homicide file, which we are very thankful for. As much as we all would like to see punishment in our justice system of life with no chance of parole, the plea to second-degree murder was very significant for us to have for the sake of the family. We ensured that they had say in that right up to the very end with our Crown Attorney, our lead investigator, Detective Constable Tyler Brett, all did a phenomenal job in this case, from our civilians right up to the top. Christmas, Boxing Day, and onward, worked really hard on this file and ensuring that we could have the second-degree murder conviction. So, like I said, he has a chance of parole in 16 years. That doesn't mean he'll get it, but it gave closure to the family, and they were satisfied with that. And we were thankful for them to have, and they were able to speak at the plea. They were able to provide victim impact statements to him and to them for themselves, and that's a bit of a healing process. So we're thankful. Community service, we had a number of school visits Sean made. They gave out some prizes for the coloring contest that we did back in May for Police Week. He did some hate crime presentations at the high school in Duncan J. Did a kindergarten tour at St. Francis, visited St. Luke's as well. He's did some board meetings with Lanark County Situation Table meeting, anti-hoarding meeting, justice meeting with youth court, 2 Filter 4 meetings, which is for kids at risk in the schools, MCERT team meeting, youth at risk meetings, MCERT stats, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, of course, did the Special Olympic Golf Tournament and the Torch Run. We did the community barbecue, Legion meeting, Hanley Hall, Rideau Health Services lunch, WAC. He participates in their program, and throughout the month of June, continued to work on our hate crime and equity and inclusion with print media, schools, and victim services presentations. So we have a bit of a grant money that we use to promote our work on hate crime and equity and inclusion. And then he was prepping for our Cops and Kids Fishing Day that we just did, and Canada Day as well. And on top of all that, he also had to cover the road and assisted in some of the warrant executions. So just a quick highlight of our staff. We had some pictures that we have of him serving lunch. Constable Dewey, after our crosswalk was damaged, he saw some kids doing chalk drawings, and he helped keep them safe and did some chalk drawing. And Constable LeMay stopped at a lemonade stand to provide some money and support. We did our golf tournament. We had a team on for that. And of course, our torch run that from the chief, myself, and down. We participate with our families, and we come out and help out with the tolls. And as you know, we were very successful with the fundraising. Over $17,000, I believe, was raised. So, and of course, our annual torch run and our Pride Day that we participated with as well. So, lots going on. Just a quick highlight of our training courses. We did C8 training, use of force. We had the Rib Fest. We worked on some grants applications. We assisted with Touch a Truck with Fire Hall, Powwow, the Indigenous Walk, Pride. I had an officer on the OACP course for constable selection process. We attended PAO meetings. We attended CISO meetings, and we also participated in the Ontario Association Chief of Police Conference that was held in Kingston this year. So our business plan quarterly report for our Q2 for April and June. We had 216 vehicle stops, 66 hours of foot, 24 hours of bike, 33 hours of school, 73 hours of other, and 2,209 calls for service, so increase in our calls. As comparison to 2022, we had a difference in our calls for service, but when I looked at comparison to last year, April to June, and this year, our calls during the last couple months have been quite serious in nature, which has increased the time into those calls. Health IM Q2 for April to June, we had 123 calls for service for MCERT and ourselves with a 5% apprehension rate and 43 minutes wait time. And if you see in comparison between last year, we had a 2-hour wait time average between April and June, and this 3 months has only been a 43-minute, which is excellent for us. It means our program is working. We're spending less time with our officers in the hospital. And that is it for manager's report, unless you have any questions.
Great, thank you. Questions?
Okay.
I was going to ask about the increase in calls from 1,800 to 2,200, but then when you said it's basically the same as last year, it's just a pattern, I guess, of springtime being.
Springtime and serious calls. The arsons take up a lot of our investigative. We have the missing persons and the assaults, bail violations. Everything seems to be a complicated call. Like the other day we had, an officer spots somebody on foot patrol, there are bail violations, that person jumps into the water and it like nothing seems to be a simple arrest these days. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. Yes, and it is obviously calls and again, going back to 1987, calls are certainly much more complex, certainly take a lot more resources and more time to investigate, more time to take through the court processes and more time to prosecute them and come to successful conclusions. So certainly, again, a tribute to our staff and the hard work that they do. Calls for service do go up some quarters, and that's pattern. Sometimes, weather related, you get nicer weather, people are out more. As the deputies mentioned, we've had, some rashes, and we always encourage people to locking vehicles and making sure they do their own home safety as well to mitigate the risk. And so we've been fortunate in identifying some culprits in those rashes and making some arrests. So that's always a good news for our community that these people are taken off the streets at least for a period of time. But those calls for service fluctuate. Like you say, it doesn't take long to change the statistics when you have one rash or where they've gone through 20 or 30 vehicles or entered into a number of houses or that sort of thing. So certainly, and we work through our community services as well to try to help our community be a little stronger and a little more vigilant against those types of crimes. But a lot of hard work that will continue on.
Thank you. So we time and date for next meeting, I think we'll
correspond for that.
Yeah, we'll arrange that.
Arrange a time, probably sometime later in August.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll put that, and I think that is.
Anything else, Chief, before we ask for motion for adjournment?
I think that is all I have. There's just some few documents for your signature, Chair.
Okay.
So that's it.
Ask for motion for adjournment. Moved by Rob, second by Jen. All in favor? Thank you, Chris. We appreciate your time. I think you're still there. We can't see you, but thanks again for your time and commitment to our community. We are adjourned. You gavel here.